Hey, Esmon, it's Daniel here. I'll just do kind of a quick walkthrough of Propstream and kind of how we start from just the base and get a little bit granular in our search. So when you search by county, you have to make sure with Propstream, like see right here, if I start typing out Franklin County where you're at, it'll say no data, but you have to go ahead and type it all the way out. So you have to go Franklin County, comma, and then the state, and then it'll finally pop up. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Then from here, we don't quite dive right on into like the pre-save searches at the top. We just go straight to filtering and to kind of get it all down. So let's say we want to go after owner occupied, and we'll go to property characteristics next. We'll always go single family. And then from here, sometimes we'll come back to year built, but next we'll kind of go to MLS status. You always want to make sure that it's off market. From right here, click no. And then from here, foreclosure status. Since we're not searching for foreclosures, go ahead and put none, so that we kind of keep those out of the mix. Ownership info, you always want to make sure over here at owner type that you put individual, not corporate. And then by default, we kind of just go the 2 to 3 years minimum ownership, just because people who just bought the house, they might not be, so willing to sell it right off the bat. Even if they're in a distressed situation, they usually try to get out of it. And then from here on, we'll usually go to equity over here, and we'll just by default, we'll just start with like 20% equity, just to kind of see our base and where we're at. And then from there, depending on where we want to look for, we'll like a good first search, we kind of look for liens. So we come back here to liens, just put has a lien. So right off the bat, there's 2,527 liens in your county. So if we want to go after liens, then I would probably go back up to property characteristics. And then maybe from year built, we'll put, 2008. So it doesn't really change a whole lot. Maybe we put 2000. And again, it doesn't change a whole lot, but it brings it a little bit down. So we're kind of finding properties that were purchased a little while ago. And then from there, you can go by square feet. I don't know what, I don't know how, I'm not sure the average square footage that you kind of look for. I know here in California, we kind of just put between 1,000 to 3,500. So it brings it down a little bit. And then what we also do too sometimes is go back down to value trend right here. Of course, estimated value, I know homes are a lot cheaper out there, so we probably not even even get close, but I would probably put a max of where people stop buying homes. I know here in California, it's that $1 million range. Usually, homes over $1 million sit on the market a lot longer. I know that price is going to be a lot lower for your area. So maybe, put 600,000. So you always probably want to put an estimated value of where you want to keep it under, where there's a smaller audience or smaller market of buyers for those homes. And then from there, that would kind of be a good list to start with. 1,600, it's not small, but it's not big. If you wanted to, you could probably, go back to equity and keep playing with the equity, or you can play with years of ownership. I would say when it comes down to, if we ever find a list and we want to keep getting smaller and smaller with the list, the two things we play with the most is years of ownership and then the amount of equity too. So usually we'll kind of go up to around 50% equity, 60% equity. Sometimes depending on how big the audience is, if there's a big free and clear audience, then of course we'll kind of separate that and create a separate list. But we'll keep playing with it. Let's do another search. So let's go with owner occupied, single family, MLS status, off market. Foreclosure status, we'll just go ahead and put none. Ownership info, we'll put individual. We'll come back to the years. Value trend, just equity. Let's start with 20% right now. Let's go back to property characteristics. Year built. Let's go ahead and start with 2000. With this search, let's just try to find maybe older homes and people that have lived in the homes for a very long time. They might be at a point to where they're ready to sell and move on because they've lived there forever. Could be older people. So from here, let's go back to ownership info and let's play with years of ownership. So let's just go far. Years of ownership, minimum of 20 plus years. Oh, I have to clear it all. All right, we got to restart real quick. Sometimes if it doesn't change over here, you got to just hit refresh and start from the beginning. So ownership. Year built, 2000. So like just a quick example, some people will get confused on this. If let's say I want homes built before 2000, then you need to put 2000 as the max, not the minimum. Some people kind of get that mixed up. MLS status off market, foreclosure status none, ownership individual. We're gonna start with a minimum of 20 years owned, value trend, and equity. We'll start with 20%. All right, so we got 66,000 people. So 66,000 people live in their home for 20 years. So I think we could probably go a little bit farther. I'm going to go ahead and move this up to 50% equity. See what we have there. Let's go back to years ownership. Let's go 30. It's 25,000. Wow. Let's go 40. 10,000. Okay, now we got a list to work with. We got 10,000 people have lived in the home for 40 years. That is really long. You don't see that on the West Coast. Then from here, I'd say, let's actually go back to 30. Let's go back to 30 years of ownership because we're at 25,000. I think that's a good length that somebody would probably be willing to sell at that point. And then let's go back and play with the equity. So we're at 50%. I'm just really curious. Let's just hit free and clear. All right. So we got 16,000 properties. They own it. It's free and clear. And they've owned the home for more than 30 years. So this could be a good list to download and do some campaigns to, some ringless voicemails and texting. It'll take a while. But the home was built before 2000. They lived in it for more than 30 years. And it is free and clear. So they built equity. So these could be potential home sellers. What you can also do too is just also play with the years of year built of the home. So if we wanted to get smaller than 16,000, we can go to year built. Let's go. All right, 19. Well, didn't change a whole lot. We're still at around 16,000, and homes were built before 1990. So these homes are definitely a lot older. So this could be a good list right here you can save. So once you hit apply, just hit this box right here and then go up to save search. And what I do for save searches, because when you save a search, you'll always be able to come back to it, and just in case any new properties hit that criteria. So when I save search, I kind of give it a name right here. So it can just be like the main name. You could put free and clear 30 plus years own. And then what I do is I just give it a basic name that's made the two important factors of it. And then here in the details, I will literally write everything else in here just so that I want to know all my filtering so that when I come to my searches, as you can see here as examples, these are some past searches. So I put, vacant, 20% equity. But then right here in the details, these are all the filtering that I did. I put Delaware County, vacant, 20% equity, off market, individual owner, single family, and condo and townhome between 1,000 and 3,500 square feet. that was built before 2008. So that's what I do. It's just good for me. I think it's best to do it that way, just so months down the road when you come back, you kind of remember the filtering that you did with this specific search, so that you can easily just hit this and then have that search again and be able to find any new properties that match that criteria, candidate criteria. And of course, I think you already know, if you want to save it to a market list, you just go to add list, create new, and put in the title right there, and then hit save. Then what I do, just to kind of remind myself, because obviously if you do a lot of lists, it can get cluttered real quick. So for example, you have all these marketing lists. What you could do too is make groups. And so every time you pull a list, you can then move it into a group. And then you can just title the group, "This list has been pulled," but still have the title, just so you can kind of remember, or just have a separate Excel spreadsheet, just so you have a history record of all the different searches you had. And the cool thing too is, and the reason why I would say save it separately in a group, or just kind of take note of it in a separate spreadsheet, because here in marketing list, so even though like this list right here, you could have made this a long time ago, it'll also give you the updated recording. So it'll give you any new property that hit this criteria since you first saved this list. And it always updates. It'll tell you the sold. So you'll want to come in here and kind of scrub those as well. Back to this, we'll kind of do a few more examples. So we'll do Franklin County, Ohio. Let it find its place. Then from here we can go, let's say non-owner occupied, single family. Let's put built before 2000. Square feet, we could put 1,000 to 3,000. MLS status, we always want to put off market. No foreclosure, ownership. Always want to go individual. No lien. Let's go value trend, estimated value. I think it's best to always put a max. In equity, we can just start at 20%. We always just go with default, start at 20, just so we can see the number, just so we can see what we're playing with. So from here, and these are absentee owners, so there's around 18,000. So there's actually not that many. So depending on your advertising budget, I don't know if you're doing just ringless voicemails and you can afford it, maybe just pull that whole list and just start with it, or get a little granular. We can go back to, we can go back to ownership. We can see, just hit out of state. So we got 4,800 out of state owners. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and hit that and save that as a search. And then you can come back, you can find, just hit vacant. So you got 1,100 vacant properties. So you can save this as another search and add it to a separate list to kind of keep those two separate. So if you want to run different type of marketing campaigns to the two different ones. Didn't put a years on ownership actually, so maybe put like 3 there. And then you could put, filter between the out of state and the vacants to create your separate list there. And then, between the two, since most of the filtering is close to the same, just make sure when, like I said, you save it, put the key points in the name so you can distinguish between the two whenever you come back to Propstream. Or if you just want to go wide and buy a lot of data, just stick with any, and then you can filter from there as well. Let's go back to, let's just go with any. You can also do bankruptcy. So let's see here. So if you go to the lien section, I already did a search that with the liens. You can also do BK and just make a simple search like that and keep most of the filtering, but just, filter between lien, bankruptcy, obviously, and, absentee, out of state, and then vacant. So is that pretty easy? So it really comes down to how you want to stay organized. If you're going to be doing different campaigns, if you're going to be doing just ringless voicemail or texting, or you're going to mix a little bit of mailers, you just buy one big data set, or from there kind of filter all them down and get a little bit more granular in the area of the filtering. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any more questions, please let us know.